So, 1st of February, new day, new focus, new challenge, and it's starting right now. I'm going out to help somebody. I'm going to focus on them. I'm going to focus on the back, different parts of the muscles. I'm going to apply some incredible techniques that have worked for me over the years. See how we get on with them. That's what I like. Super fresh today. So, I've got to talk to you about today. There are so many things that have come up today that I want to share that I think could be useful and valuable to yourself. So here goes. So I've just been with someone now for around about an hour, and we've been helping them understand a little bit more about that mind-body connection. So their thing is, at the moment, they've got a pain point in and around the rotator cuff. It's a bit more detailed than that, but to help bring you on the journey, let's just say it's in and around that area. And they've seen lots of different specialists who have obviously shared their knowledge and experience with them, and some of that has been useful. But I think what this person was after was somebody who has had that experience of kind of going through the pain of having an injury of some kind, and it's like how they got through it, how did they get through that thing. So on my left side, on my left shoulder here, I've got a big sort of it's like a big scar now. So it's like a big scar, big stretch mark, and I've always had issues on my left hand side, on my left rotator cuff, the deep tissue work, the ligaments and the tendons around right at the back, just where just where my left shoulder blade is, where it kind of ends, just that point, and it's everything that sits beneath that. So I'm not talking about the big slabs of muscle that surround it, our big muscle tissue. I'm literally talking about the connective parts. So your ligaments, your tendons, the smaller muscle groups, if you will. And in 2019, when I got shingles and I've got all that nerve damage on my left-hand side, which is around my midsection, that can wake me up in the night still, and it can feel, I can get like a heat sensation, and that's because the nerves are growing back and they're trying to do their thing. So there's a lot of pain management that I deal with on a daily basis that I use. I use biohacking techniques for. I tap into my mind-body connection, and there's certain things that I do that help me control and deal with that. But it comes from a deeper understanding of connecting to me and my body and what works for me. So part of today of getting together with this person was to share that, like, what is it that I do? What type of stretch work do I do? Why do I do that stretch work? How does it make me feel? And then applying it with this person. So this is what I do. Okay, this is why I do it, and this is how I do it. And I've seen how it's worked for them. So we've gone through lots of different techniques and apply lots of different things. Of course, dead hangs feature in there. It's an awful expression, that, but essentially that is 2 hands on the bar and hanging from the bar. I've talked about this and I've shown videos and I've shown demonstrations in different videos, but just to explain, it's kind of like the point whereby you're on the bar. It's before you do the pull-up. So your arms are all stretched out. There's no emphasis on the bicep. You're just literally fully stretched out, fully in alignment. Your feet are coming together right before you go into the pull-up. And it's kind of holding that posture. Dead hangs are amazing because they can help stretch out and help focus. But we've gone deeper today. So we've gone into some real isometric holds, using resistance bands to really isolate their pain points at the moment. So theirs is actually on the right hand side, So it's kind of mirroring mine on the left. So we've gone into different types of work. But the bit that, and I realise I'm talking at you right now, and you might be thinking about, well, what does that look like, the visual side? The bit that I'm actually leading up to is the big bit that we talked about, which was the breathing. So the breath work, or the breathing meditation, that is a big point, because something happened today. Just one sec. Oh, beautiful. So this is my decaf coffee from Man Coco. It's just around the corner, Manchester Roastery. Anyway, something happened today. So they were on the bar, they were doing the dead hangs, and I was just explaining how to fine tune it, should we say. So by doing a slight hip tilt and engaging the lower abdominals and the lower section of the core. But I also said, try closing your eyes and just focus on your breathing and listen to my voice. Okay. Now, normally they would get on the bar and hang for about 15 seconds, that's fine, because if it's 15 seconds and then you do 10 of those exercises, then it's 150 seconds in the aggregate in the total. But they said that normally they hang on the bar for 15 seconds, and I asked, why is that? And they said it's because of the grip. They feel like they just let go. I went, okay. So they're on the bar, they're in the dead hang position, so they're hanging from the bar with both hands on, straight arms, nice alignment going down the body, nice alignment into the legs and right down to the toes, so they're pointed. They've done a slight hip tilt, so I've adjusted them to engage the core. I've asked them to close their eyes and focus on circular breathing. So breathing in. So I said the breath range I wanted them to do in this posture was 5 seconds. So breathing in for 5 seconds and then breathing out for 5 seconds. But when breathing in on the 5 seconds, fill your lungs full of air, and then on the exhale, get rid of that air, deplete the air in the lungs, and then repeat that. But keep it nice and slow, calm and relaxed, but while closing your eyes. And they were on the bar, I'd probably say, it's probably about 40 seconds. Now, that's a big jump from doing the 15 seconds. And the point being is when they opened their eyes and they came off, I think it's because they thought that I'd finished the exercise that I was doing, not necessarily that they couldn't hang on the bar any longer with a grip. The point being in that moment is that I distracted them, and I did it on purpose. And the level of the distraction was asking them to close their eyes and to focus on their breathing, which would bring them into the present moment, so they wouldn't be thinking about anything else, like how long they're hanging from the bar, the music in the background, anything like that. They were just focusing on the breathing, the breath work. So they weren't focusing on the hand grip or how long they could hold on for. So there was no negative thoughts whatsoever, because they were just thinking about breathing. And that was the game changer, by focusing on the breathing in that moment. And I saw it, and obviously it doesn't surprise me, because it's something that I do in my daily practice, and focus on the breath work can really channel myself into that moment, so remove any unwanted distractions. But it's just nice to see somebody who is relatively new to me getting to know them. So I know them, but I don't know them that well. It's how they take something that I'm just showing them right now and how it actually works. So it's that mind-body connection. So they overrode. They basically removed their self-limiting beliefs of, I can only hang on this bar for 15 seconds. Well, they've just done 40 seconds. So the big thing was the breath work today. And it's a big thing that I like to talk about, because it features so much in my life. To do high volumes of pull-ups, say whatever the number is, like yesterday I did the 750 pull-ups with the weight. To do that, even before I step up to the bar, I focus on my breathing meditation, my breathing mindfulness practice, so I can get into that moment. Because when I'm embarking on large volumes of pull-ups, what I don't want is I don't want to be highly stimulated. I don't want to stimulate the adrenaline. I don't want that level of rush because I'm going for the distance. I'm going to be on that pull-up bar for a long period of time. So I need to control myself. I need to keep my heart rate regulated. I need to keep calm, chilled, zen-like, nice and relaxed. And by focusing on my breath work, that happens. So I do circular breathing. I know I've talked about this before, but it is a big thing, and it's a big part of my life, and this could work for you. So the circular breathing for me is this. However I breathe in, however many seconds I breathe in to fill the lungs, I make sure it's the same amount of time on the way out. Okay, that's it. So if I'm breathing in for 5 seconds, it's 5 seconds on the way out, and then I repeat that. And circular breathing, that type of breathing, I do when I'm doing the pull-ups, and I sometimes focus on the intake being longer, up to 7 seconds, and 7 seconds on the exhale when I'm in my rest period. Okay. But the breathing technique that I use when I'm focusing on breathing meditation in solitude, when I'm seated, I've got no distractions. I don't have to think about being on a laptop or expecting a call or engaging with someone or being in a public space, and anyone could distract me at any moment. What I do is the 777 breathing technique. So I breathe in for 7 seconds, filling the lungs full of air, and then I exhale over a period of 7 seconds, depleting the lungs full of air, and then I hold my breath for 7 seconds. And then I repeat this process for as often as I want to do it. And it does take time to practice. When you do the breath hold, it feels a bit weird at first when you're holding your breath. But once you've gone through that process of doing that, say 3 times, you get into your rhythm, you get into your flow. It works better for me when when I'm on my own, or I've got some, AirPods in or some sort of distraction, so the noise so my sensory is reduced, and I'm just really focusing on me in that moment. I do the 777 breathing technique when I am, as I say, in a seated posture. It's not what I do when I'm doing the pull-ups, because the breath hold, that doesn't really work for me in those moments. What works for me is the circular breathing. But if I keep the circular breathing short, say 3 seconds in, 3 seconds out, 3 seconds in, 3 seconds out, that's too short. And that might whip up what I call the candy floss effect, which is getting that adrenaline going. That's the sort of breathing that I might move into, that 2 second breathing even. 1, 2, out, 1, 2, in, 1, 2, out, 1, 2, in, out, or 3 seconds in, 3 seconds out. I do that short breathing, that short circular breathing, when I want to get into that final moment. So if I've got 5 pull-ups left and I haven't got that in me, or I don't think in that moment I've got it in me, or I just want to get that adrenaline boosted, I do the short breathing technique, and it fires me up, and it makes me feel, it's like that warrior. It's like I'm gearing myself up for battle. That's the best way I can explain it. Even just talking to you right now, I've got that cold rush that's going through, and I know it's windy out here, but that's when that hypothalamus part of the brain, something's changing with my physiology, my energy is changing, and I'm ready. I'm battle ready, I'm warrior ready to do that thing. So that's the short breathing for me. Short breathing in, short breathing out, so it's like that type of thing, and it gets me into that moment. Okay, so I can go for explosive movements in a short space of time, but that breathing doesn't work when I'm going for the distance. So when I'm saying doing 500 pull-ups, 750 pull-ups, 1,000 pull-ups, I'm in it for the long distance. I don't do that type of breathing because that won't work for me as for endurance, not for the endurance. So what an amazing session today, and I'm going to be interested to see how their journey progresses. So we're going to do this a bit more often, and if they feel comfortable with it, I might bring them onto the channel on YouTube so you can check them out and we can see how they feel about everything and whether it sort of worked. But today's gone really well. I've enjoyed it. I love adding value and being useful to others and sharing stuff that works for me. and if that works for me, it could work for you. This is what I did. This is how I do it. This is why I do it. That type of thing. Okay. Right now, I've got some work to do. So I'm going to pop off, do that. But it is the 1st of Feb. So it's the new challenge today. So it's going to be 250 pull-ups with a 5 kilogram weight and 250 gymnastic rings dips. Okay, I just want to show you now how I'm building out today's workout. So remember that I use ClickUp to build out projects like for the month. For example, I've got the February challenge and the January challenge that I built out on there. So that gives me a high level overview of what I want to achieve for that particular challenge. But in terms of on a daily basis, when I'm working out, I don't take that level of detail with me. I don't need it. So I build it out a different way. So I'm going to show you now how I build that out. But listen, I've kind of pre-recorded this. So if you're watching it and all of a sudden I just start talking, go with it. It'll all make sense. I'm going to show you how I utilize free tools like Google Keep and Apple Notes to build out workouts which you can just literally have in your pocket on your smartphone. Okay, let's dig in. So I literally use Google Keep. You could use Apple Notes. I basically just use free applications that you can pretty much get on any smartphone. And this is how I build it out, dead simple. So it's work out the day, today's date, and then I break everything down, as you know, into reps, sets, blocks, and milestones. So the first part is going to be pull-ups. I want to achieve 100 pull-ups with a 5 kilogram weight. I want to keep the rep range to 5 reps max. And then I want to rest 30 seconds in between sets. And then once I've reached milestone 1 and I've ended block 1, I rest for 60 seconds. Then I move into block 2. And then once I've completed block 2, move into block 3. So that's going to be 100 pull-ups, another 100 pull-ups, so 200 pull-ups, and a remaining 50. So 250 pull-ups in this session consecutively is what I'm after achieving. And then when I move into block 4, things are going to change up. So it's going to be gymnastic rings dips. So 100 gymnastic rings dips, same principle. Rest for 30 seconds in between sets. And I want to try and achieve 5 reps max. So we've got block 4, 100 rings dips. Block 5, 100 rings dips. Block 6, 50 dips. So in the aggregate, in the total number, 250 gymnastic rings dips. So listen, if everything goes according to plan, today's session will just run through the blocks, block 1, block 2, block 3, block 4, block 5, block 6, in one consecutive session with rest periods in between, and I'll achieve 250 pull-ups with a 5 kilogram weight and 250 gymnastic rings dips body weight. You know what? Let's see how we get on today. I would say the gymnastic rings dips, it's such a beautiful, unstable movement, which really challenges all of the muscles, all the ligaments, all the tendons, different groups of muscles. It's beautiful, but I haven't done this level of volume on a daily basis for quite some time. So this is the bit that I'm most that I'm prepared for the most, should we say, but probably one that I'm the most concerned about in terms of, what will that look like for endurance? What will it look like when I'm moving into the different blocks? But you know what? I've been there before. I've done high volumes of gymnastic rings dips before. I've been there before. So how well trained my brain is, I'll take myself back in my memory archives to remind myself of what it feels like to be in that moment. When I've done those gymnastic rings dips for large volumes, and I've done them with weights as well. So I'll remind myself of what that feels like. And by doing that, I'll move into that realm of positive psychology, because I'm visualizing those moments of success and achievement of reaching large volumes. So that's all I've got to do. So the mind is going to try and influence the body to keep up, to get that volume going. But you know what? You're going to find out, because I'm going to share everything with you. Okay, so this is it. So 5 kilogram weight, so I'm increasing it, doubling up from the January challenge. So it's going to be 250 pull-ups with the 5 kg weight. And I've got the rings over there, so we'll get those set up in a bit. But let's see how we get on with these with the pull-ups. Okay, let's get the first 5 in there together. So I'm just chalking up the hands now. Important to get the hand placement where it needs to be. Okay. Right. Feedback immediately. I can totally tell. So this is literally double the weight, and I can feel it 100%. Right, I'm going to have to dig into this. I'm going to have to concentrate a little bit. I will bring you back in on the journey though. See you soon. Okay, so I'm 35 pull-ups in now into block 1. Feeling good. I can definitely feel the additional weight, but I'm feeling good. You know something? So when I started my calisthenics journey, my bodyweight training journey back in January 2015, I think my desire to add weight to pull-ups or dips or anything where a belt and an additional weight would go on, at the time that was my main motivation. I kind of wanted to do that thing. In fact, sorry, it wasn't the main motivation. I just wanted to get to that point because I thought, you know what, you've got to add additional weight to make it difficult, and you absolutely do not. You do not. Because the way I see it now, let's take the pull-up as one exercise. If you want to increase, if you want to build muscle, you want to build strength, and you want to build endurance, start to focus on higher volumes of reps. So if you're used to training and doing, say, 30 reps in a session, try and increase that. Try and see what 60 feels like. You know, increase the rep range, increase the reps in the aggregate, should I say, and how you get there is up to you. So like right now, I'm still utilizing the 5 reps max. So it's literally 1 rep, 2 rep, 3 rep, 4 rep, 5 rep. So the process stays the same in terms of reps, sets, blocks and milestone. But the one differentiator, the difference is I've added weight and increased the weight. But in the beginning I thought I've got to get to adding an additional weight. There's no way I can build muscle strength and endurance just with body weight. And I think that was just my perception at the time, because I came traditionally from a strength training, strength conditioning type of way of training, if you will. So my perception was you have to physically lift an additional weight in order to build muscle, build strength, and build endurance. When the truth is, you don't have to do that solely in its entirety. You can add additional weights, but I think it depends on what exercise it is that you're doing. It's not just as cut and dry as do or don't do this. You know, I think it's more complex than that, you know. So if I came in here now and said, right, I'm going to do, say, 10 pull-ups, and I'm going to add a 5 kilogram weight to it, and then walk out of the gym, that isn't a good enough workout for me, because I can normally do more volume. So doing 10 pull-ups for me with a weight is not going to have a great deal of impact on my overall physical training. I'm not going to lean into those hormones that are released, the muscle growth, the muscle development, and the endurance. The endurance is a big thing for me. So yeah, the common misconception is you've got to get straight to adding weights. And I see it quite a lot. And I was one of those people. I used to think, right, I can do 10 pull-ups in a row now, strict. I now need to add weight. When the truth is, what about doing more pull-ups, more reps in my session, increase the reps? So instead of leaving the training facility saying, right, I've done 3 sets of 10 pull-ups in a row, why not say, do you know what? I'm going to leave here when I've done 60 pull-ups, but how I get there is up to me. So why don't I break it down even further, keep my rep range to say 5 max or 3 max or whatever it was at the time, to try and get used to the endurance. So by training the way I train, using reps, sets, blocks and milestones, it's focusing on endurance, so high volumes of reps. If I want to add additional weight, so a chain or a weight attached to a chain, then that's fine. And you might be thinking, what am I talking about right now in terms of adding additional weight? I've already done it myself. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? No, for me, on my journey now, I want to stick with the 5 reps max, and I want to continually increase that weight. So for January, it was 10,000 pull-ups with a 2.5 kg weight. February, I'm going to do 5,000 pull-ups, or I plan to do 5,000 pull-ups with a 5 kilogram weight, so that it's incrementally increased. And because I've set the goal as 5,000 pull-ups, that's something that I'm working towards. So that makes sense as to my reason why I'm adding the additional weight. But I just want to blow the misconceptions that you need to add additional weight to traditionally bodyweight training or calisthenics in order to build muscle. There isn't one way of building muscle in terms of you have to do this thing. It's a combination of different things. It depends on the person's nutrition, genetics, how often they train, what they train, the recovery time, recovery period. There are so many different things that are going on. So adding additional weights can be absolutely incredible and amazing, but it isn't necessarily needed for you as an individual, for me as an individual, to build muscle, build strength, and build endurance. But it does help. Okay, let's get on with the pull-ups. Okay, I'm progressing along. I've almost reached block 1, the end of block 1. Resistance is a big thing, so adding that additional weight is creating more resistance. So if I say, for example, so do you know what? I want to train 100 pull-ups every day for the next 30 days, body weight. That will have an impact, of course it will do. But if it just becomes super easy for me doing those 100 pull-ups, and I literally walk out of the training facility and I don't feel any major impact, then what might be happening is I might be moving into maintenance phase, or even, I don't know, worse than that, just not developing in the areas that I would want to develop in. It's definitely going to have an impact. Listen, doing 100 pull-ups, body weight for me is still doing something, but I have to base it on what I'm capable of doing or what I know about myself, and I want to keep pushing myself and seeing what I'm capable of. So yeah, I think when you focus or you plan on building out a challenge, and when I focus on building it out, maths, numbers play a big part of it. It's not just a case of saying, right, you know what, today I want to do 250 pull-ups. There's a reason behind that. If you think about it now, yesterday I did 750 pull-ups with a 2.5 kilogram weight. Today I'm doing 250 pull-ups with a 5 kilogram weight. That's a third of the volume, but I've doubled the weight. So I'm just genuinely interested to see what that does for me, how my body feels that. So that'll be superbly interesting. And what, we'll find out. But listen, I've got the rings dips to go yet. Whew, nervous and excited. One of the biggest things that I did before I transitioned into adding additional weights to calisthenics, so the pull-ups and the dips, was I used to focus on the rest times. That was the first experience when I realised the power of measuring the time element between stopping doing that thing that you were doing, so like the pull-ups, to starting that movement all over again. I realised there's power in that. That does matter. And then I realised that, okay, well, if I use time as a measuring tool to spread out between sets, then why don't I look to increase the number of sets? Let's give that a go, let's see how it goes. And I think that was the moment for me when I walked out of the training facility and had achieved far more pull-ups than I would have intended to have achieved just by changing that one thing, that perspective, the time element. When I first started, I didn't really focus on the time thing. I just thought, right, you know what, I want to crank out some pull-ups. I want to try and do as many as I can type of thing, or maybe get to 30 or 40 or 50 today or something like that. And I didn't really factor in the rest times. And I'd say nobody pointed it out to me. I don't think it was really talked about as much. I still don't think it's talked about as much today, but the timing matters. So if I walk in now into a training facility and say, right, today's focus is going to be 250 pull-ups, everything's measured down to the timing, the rest times. And I realise now I'm talking to you, but I'm dedicating that into today's session so I can share this with you, because it's poignant. Because the shorter the rest time, it might be more of an intense workout. The longer the rest time, it might be too long. The muscles might go cold and it might be harder to get back into that movement. So what is the sweet spot? Well, that sweet spot, you've got to find for yourself. You've got to find out what that sweet spot is for you. And I didn't know what mine was. 30 seconds rest time in between the sets when I'm doing large volumes of pull-ups. That seems to work for me. Seems to work. Could it be 25 seconds? Could it be 20 seconds? Potentially it could, but I'd have to refine it and do that as a process. And that isn't my focus at the moment, because I'm quite happy with the 30 seconds rest time and getting the numbers up there, but also adding the weights in and doing other complementary exercises like the rings dips today. I think the beauty of training in any capacity, but in particular bodyweight training and calisthenics, is no two bodies are the same. We are all unique. So there can be systems and processes that we can put in place. We can look at something and think, yep, that's a pull-up. Okay, so I'm going to try and do what you're doing there. But your body is different than mine. My body is different from yours. You will develop differently to me, and I will develop differently to you. I suppose it's how we condition ourselves, how we push ourselves, and what it is that we want to achieve. So my why for Feb is, why do I want to do this? Well, I want to challenge myself mentally and physically. So I'll put together a challenge that I think is going to do that. I'm going to find out, and I may not succeed, but I may succeed. Who knows? Okay. I'm enjoying the session so far, but it's time to get back to it. Okay, that's the pull-ups done. Feels great. Feel like I could continue 100%, but I'm going to move on. Let's get into the ring dips. Okay, this is how I'm finding it so far. It is challenging. So I'm up to 50 reps so far, following the rep sets, blocks and milestones process. So 5 reps max. I didn't bring my sleeves today. So I normally wear these sleeves just to stop the abrasion, but I've not brought them. But I'm carrying on anyway. I'm going to see how we get on with it. It is a lovely exercise, but yeah. Yeah, feels good, but it's getting those numbers up. So I'm thinking, let's do this. Get in that positive mindset frequency. I've got the 250 rings dips. Let's see how we get there. Okay. Right, so I've just done the first 100 reps of the rings dips, and you're going to see the data on this in a bit. So far it's not looking great. I've started off with a 5 reps max, and I've just finished, and it's gone down to 3 reps max. So I'm on the decline at the moment, so that's really interesting for me. I'm going to take a breather now. I'm going to refocus. I'm going to do some breath work, so some circular breathing right now. And then I'm going to get back into it. So let's see how we get on. Okay, same principle for the pull-ups as with the gymnastic rings dips. It's all about form. So it's about the precision techniques. So I want to perform and execute that movement, the ring dip, in the best way that I possibly can do. And at the moment, I'm not hitting the 5 reps max that I want to achieve. And that's kind of anticipated. I needed to find out where I was at. I love this movement. I do train this movement, but I don't train it that often. And I don't train it that often to get it to a high enough volume. So today, I'm absolutely out of my comfort zone, should we say. So the pull-ups today, no problem. I could probably just keep doing those. That's fine. That feels good. But of course, I've been doing that on a daily basis for a long period of time. And that's my foundational core exercise. So I feel like an expert, a master in that field. But when it comes down to the gymnastic rings dips, I don't practice that on a daily basis to high levels of volumes. So of course, it's not going to feel like second nature to me. And that's the whole point. February's challenge is about challenging me mentally and physically. And right now, I'm struggling to get through them. But I will get there, even if it's 1 rep at a time. But the moment that I don't perform 1 rep to the standard that I set myself, getting that deep dip, keeping all of the elements nice and tight, keeping the core engaged, all that sort of stuff, then that's when I'm out. That's it. So I will push on. Okay, that is the 250 gymnastic rings. Bodyweight dips done. What a grind. You're going to see the data at the end, so you can see how it's broken down. I knew it would be challenging. I anticipated this, which is why I allocated the time frame that I did. We know something. I got there in the end. I can leave the facility knowing that today has been 250 pull-ups with a 5 kilogram weight and 250 bodyweight rings dips. How I got there, the journey, that is the most interesting bit. And that's the bit that I want to focus on. That's the bit that I want to progress and get better at, because the rings dips today is 100% put me out of my comfort zone for high volume reps. And guess what? I've got to do it all again tomorrow. That's the plan. That's the process. This is the challenge. If it wasn't challenging, it would not be a challenge. Okay, whatever you're doing, wherever you are in the world, have an amazing time. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I'll see you soon. Take care.